Captain Lucas Harper sat in the command center of the underground facility on Kepler 442b, watching the radar screens light up with red dots. Each dot meant death. Each dot meant fire falling from the sky. He had been a soldier for 15 years, and he knew what those red dots meant. They meant war. They meant people would die. The facility was built under a mountain, deep in the earth where the bombs could not reach. The walls were thick concrete, and the doors were made of steel. Inside, there were rooms full of people who needed help. Children who were sick. Children who were hurt. Children who had nowhere else to go. The speakers above Harper's head crackled with static. A voice came through, cold and hard. "Captain Harper, this is Command Station Alpha. We are detecting enemy movement. 17 ships closing in from the north. ETA 15 minutes to attack range." Harper pressed the button on his radio. "Copy that, Alpha. Are we getting evacuation orders?" There was silence for a long time. Harper waited. He had learned to wait in war. Waiting was part of being a soldier. "Orders are coming, Captain." "Stand by." Harper looked at the map on the wall. The red dots were moving fast, forming a circle around the facility. The enemy was the Kelthian coalition. They called themselves peacekeepers, but they were nothing like peacekeepers. They came with weapons and anger. They came because they wanted something that was in the facility. They wanted the children. Dr. Lisa Montgomery pushed open the door to the command center. She was dirty, covered in the dust from the medical ward. Her hair was tied back, and her face was red from work. She did not look like a doctor in that moment. She looked like someone who had been fighting a war that did not use weapons. "The power is unstable in the lower sections," she said. She did not sound scared, but Harper could hear it in her voice. Fear was hiding underneath her words. "If the facility takes a direct hit, the suspension systems will fail. The children in the medical pods will die within minutes." Harper nodded. He did not need her to tell him this. He already knew. "How many children are in suspension right now?" 73, Dr. Montgomery said. "All Kelthian. All sick. All too weak to move." The door opened again. This time, it was Commander Vexter. He was tall, almost 7 feet, with gray skin that looked like stone. His eyes were black, completely black, with no white part at all. His arms were thick, and his hands had 4 fingers each. He wore the blue uniform of the Allied forces, which meant he was supposed to be on the same side as Harper. But Vexter was Kelthian, and the ships coming toward them were also Kelthian. "Captain Harper," Vexter said. His voice was deep and calm. "I have received communication from the attacking forces. They demand that we release the young Kelthians to them. They say the children belong to their kind." Harper looked at Vexter for a long moment. "What did you tell them?" "I told them nothing. I waited for you to decide." The radio crackled again. This time, the voice was different. It was Colonel Peterson, the commander of all military forces in the sector. Peterson was hard. Peterson had ordered people to do hard things. Harper respected Peterson because Peterson did not lie about what he was asking soldiers to do. "Captain Harper, I need you to listen carefully. New orders coming down. First, begin immediate evacuation of all human personnel. Second, destroy all non-human life in the facility. Third, detonate the main reactor to make sure nothing can be recovered by enemy forces. You have 1 hour. Those are your orders, Captain." The radio went silent. Harper did not move. He did not speak. He sat in his chair and looked at the red dots on the radar screen. They were getting closer. He could hear the sound of the facility shaking now, small trembles that meant the enemy was already bombing the upper sections. "Captain?" Dr. Montgomery's voice was quiet. "Did you hear what he said?" "I heard," Harper said. "Those children are not soldiers. Dr. Montgomery said. They are sick. They need help. They need doctors and medicine. They need to live. I know, Harper said. Vexter stepped forward. Captain Harper, if you follow this order, you will kill 73 young Kelthians. You will also kill yourself and everyone else in this facility, because the reactor will explode. This is not a military order. This is a death order for everyone. Harper looked up at the Kelthian warrior. Then maybe Colonel Peterson has given up on this position. No, Vexter said. He shook his head slowly. He does not care if you die. He only cares that the young Kelthians die too. They are not soldiers. They are children. But they are Kelthian, and the war is making people do things they would never do in peace. The facility shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Some of the lights flickered and went dark. How long until they reach us? Harper asked. 8 minutes, Dr. Montgomery said, looking at her instruments. Harper stood up. He walked to the window that looked down into the medical ward. He could see the children there, suspended in the pods, looking like they were sleeping. Some of them were very small. Some of them were older. All of them were helpless. All of them were depending on the adults to keep them alive. He thought about his own daughter, back on Earth. He thought about what it would mean if someone told him to kill her. He thought about what kind of soldier he would become if he did that thing. He turned back to face Dr. Montgomery and Vexter. The facility was shaking more now. The attack was getting closer. The sounds of explosions were becoming louder. We have 8 minutes, Harper said. Call Lieutenant Patterson. Tell him to get every person who can carry a child to the medical ward. We are going to evacuate everyone. Human and Kelthian. Every single one of them. We are not leaving anyone behind. Vexter's black eyes opened wider. Captain, that is disobeying a direct order. Yes, Harper said. It is. They will arrest you, Dr. Montgomery said. Maybe, Harper said. But at least I will still be a human being when they do it. The facility shook so hard that everyone had to grab something to stay standing. The attack had begun. There was no more time for words. There was only time for action. And Captain Lucas Harper had finally decided what action to take. The medical ward was a chaos of movement and noise. Soldiers and doctors worked together, unplugging children from the suspension pods. The machines made high beeping sounds as they powered down. The facility continued to shake with each explosion from above. Lieutenant Kyle Patterson was moving fast, carrying a small Kelthian child in his arms. The child was so thin that it looked like bones covered with gray skin. Its eyes were closed, and it did not move at all. Patterson did not stop to think about whether the child would live or die. He just moved, carrying it toward the evacuation tunnel. Stack them in the transport vehicles, Dr. Montgomery shouted over the noise. Keep them warm. Keep them on oxygen. Move them carefully. Captain Harper stood in the center of the medical ward, watching the work. His jaw was tight. His hands were in fists. He was a man who had just made a decision that would destroy his military career, and he was waiting to see if it would at least save some lives. The radio in his pocket started to scream. He pulled it out. It was Colonel Peterson again. Captain Harper, confirm that you have begun evacuation of human personnel only. Confirm destruction of non-human life forms. Confirm reactor detonation sequence initiated. This is a direct order. Harper held the radio in his hand. He did not push the button to respond. He just listened to the static. Captain, acknowledge these orders immediately. Harper turned off the radio. Vexter appeared next to him. The tall alien warrior was helping to carry 2 children at once, one in each arm. The children looked so small compared to his massive frame. Vexter was breathing hard, and there was blood on his blue uniform. He had been fighting somewhere, helping to defend the facility against the attacking forces. Your superiors will know soon that you are not following orders, Vexter said. His black eyes looked at Harper with something that might have been respect. I know, Harper said. They may kill you for this, Vexter said. I know that too, Harper said. Vexter nodded. When I was young, I was a soldier like you. I fought in the war on Kelthus 7. There were enemy civilians in a village. My commander told me to kill them. I did what I was told. I killed them. 47 people, men, women, children. I was a good soldier. I followed orders. Vexter shifted the children slightly, making sure they were secure in his arms. After the war ended, I could not sleep, he continued. I could not eat. I could not think of anything except the faces of the people I had killed. I was given a medal for doing my duty, but the medal did not help me sleep. Duty did not bring the dead back to life. Orders did not make me feel like a human being, like a good person. It took me 10 years to understand that being a good soldier and being a good person are not always the same thing. Harper listened. He did not say anything. What you are doing now, Vexter said, is not following orders. But it is the right thing. It is the human thing. It is what a person should do. The facility shook again, and this time part of the ceiling fell. It crashed down near where they were standing, throwing dust everywhere. Soldiers and doctors ran to help anyone who had been hurt. Dr. Montgomery ran over to Harper. Her face was covered with dust and sweat. We have the critical cases moving, she said. But we still have children in the lower sections. The suspension pods in the sealed medical ward are still active. There are 30 young Kelthians down there. If we do not reach them soon, they will die when the power fails. Can we get to them? Harper asked. There is one access point, Dr. Montgomery said. But it is on the exterior of the facility. We have to go outside, up to the surface, and use the emergency exit panel. The attack is hitting hard up there. We may not make it. Harper did not hesitate. Then we do not have any choice. Someone has to try. I will go, Vexter said. He put the children down carefully, making sure they were safe on a transport vehicle. You stay here and protect the evacuation. No, Harper said. You do not know the facility layout. You do not know how to operate the manual override on the suspension system. I am going. You are coming with me. Kyle Patterson had heard the conversation. He jogged over, breathing hard. Sir, let me go instead of you. You need to be here. Giving orders, keeping this operation moving. Harper put his hand on Patterson's shoulder. I need someone I trust here. Someone who will keep moving, keep saving lives, no matter what happens to me. That is you, Kyle. That is an order. Patterson wanted to argue, but he knew better than to waste time on arguments. He just nodded. The explosions from the outside were getting louder and closer. The facility was shaking more violently now. Some of the lights went out completely, and only the emergency lights remained, casting everything in a red glow. It looked like the entire world was on fire. Move faster, Harper shouted. We are running out of time. The soldiers and doctors worked even harder. They were heroes now, not because they wanted to be, but because the situation had made them heroes. They were choosing to help strangers. They were choosing to defy orders to save lives that nobody had ordered them to save. Vexter came back to Harper's side. I am ready, the alien warrior said. Harper looked at the Kelthian. This was a being from another world, from another species. By all logic, they should have been enemies. But they had chosen to be allies. They had chosen to stand together against an order that would have killed innocent children. Come on, Harper said. We have a sealed ward to reach and 30 children to save. They moved toward the entrance to the emergency tunnel, leaving the chaos of the medical ward behind them. The explosions continued to fall on the facility above. The air was hot and thick with dust. They were walking toward danger and possible death, but they were walking together, and that, Harper thought, meant something. That meant they were human. Or at least they were something like human. Something good. Something worth being. The emergency tunnel was narrow and dark. Only the red emergency light showed the way. Harper and Vexter moved through it as fast as they could. The tunnel went up and to the left, climbing toward the surface of the mountain. Every few seconds, the entire tunnel would shake from the explosions hitting the facility above. "How much further?" Harper asked. 200 meters, Vexter said. His voice echoed off the concrete walls. Maybe less. The entrance to the sealed ward should be just ahead. They could hear the sound of the battle now. Gunfire was close, maybe only 50 meters away. Explosions boomed outside the tunnel. The air smelled like burning metal and stone dust. This was the part of war that Harper understood well. The part where everything became simple. There was only moving forward. There was only survival. Vexter stopped suddenly. He held up a hand to tell Harper to stop too. Around the next corner, there was light. Not the red light of the emergency system, but white light. The kind of light that meant the upper sections of the facility had been breached. "Enemy," Vexter whispered. Harper nodded. He pulled out his weapon, a standard military rifle. Vexter drew his own weapon, something more powerful that fired blue energy bolts instead of bullets. They moved forward slowly, carefully. Around the corner, they could see the sealed medical ward entrance. It was heavy steel, locked with electronic systems. But they could also see that one of the walls of the tunnel was damaged. There was a hole in it, big enough to see the outside. And outside, they could see enemy Kelthians moving, setting weapons, preparing for something. "There are 6 of them," Harper whispered. "All armed, all looking at the facility. They are looking for survivors," Vexter said. "They do not know we are here yet." Harper looked at the sealed door. The electronic panel was cracked but still glowing. If they could reach it without the enemy seeing them, they might be able to override the system manually. But they would have to pass through an open section of the tunnel. An open section where the enemy could see them. "I will draw their fire," Vexter said. "You go to the control panel. Get the door open." "No," Harper said. "If you step out there, they will kill you." "Yes," Vexter agreed. "Probably. But if I do not, we save no one. The children in the sealed ward will die. So I will draw the fire, and you will save the children. That is the only choice that makes sense." Before Harper could argue, Vexter moved. The tall alien warrior stood up and moved toward the hole in the wall. He was not trying to hide. He was moving in the open, making himself visible. He shouted something in his own language, something that was probably an insult or a challenge. The enemy Kelthians turned. They saw Vexter. They did not hesitate. They opened fire. Blue energy bolts filled the tunnel. Vexter fired back, and the tunnel became a storm of light and noise. Harper ran. He did not think. He did not look back. He just ran toward the control panel. Behind him, he heard Vexter scream. The alien warrior had been hit, but he was still firing, still fighting, still keeping the enemy's attention on him and not on Harper. Harper reached the control panel. It was damaged but still functional. There were wires exposed, but the manual override system was still intact. It was a simple system, made simple on purpose so that anyone could open the door in an emergency. He put his hands on the override switch and pulled it down hard. Nothing happened. He pulled again. Still nothing. The door was not opening. Behind him, the fight continued. He could hear the sounds of Vexter's weapons, but the enemy fire was getting heavier. They were bringing more forces to the tunnel. The Kelthian warrior was about to be overwhelmed. Harper looked at the control panel again. He saw the problem. The system needed power, and the power had been cut somewhere else in the facility. He could not open the door from here. He needed to go outside to the exterior access panel and open it from there. The exterior panel would still have power from the emergency generator. "I am going outside," Harper shouted. "Keep them busy." Vexter did not answer. He was too busy fighting. Harper climbed through the hole in the wall. He found himself on the side of the mountain in the middle of a battlefield. Enemy Kelthians were firing at the facility. Humans were firing back from defensive positions. Explosions were everywhere. The air was hot and filled with smoke and the smell of burning things. He kept low and moved along the side of the mountain, searching for the exterior access panel. He found it, a small metal box set into the rock face, protected by a blast shield. He opened the shield and looked at the controls. They were simple mechanical switches, designed to work even without power. He flipped the first switch, then the second, then the third. Behind him, he heard a grinding sound. The sealed ward door was opening. Harper looked back toward the tunnel. Vester staggered out of it, moving backward, still firing at the enemy that was chasing him. The tall alien warrior's blue uniform was torn and burned. Blood ran down his arm and side. "The door is open," Harper shouted. "Move." Vexter moved. Despite his wounds, he was fast. He ran toward the sealed ward entrance. Enemy fire followed him, hitting the rock and throwing stone chips into the air. But he made it. He went through the door and disappeared inside. Harper had to follow. He had to help get the children out. But before he could move, the ground near him exploded. One of the enemy's weapons had locked onto his position. He dove for cover, rolling behind a pile of broken rock. This was the moment when everything could have ended. This was the moment when a single decision could have changed everything. But Harper had already made his decision. He was not thinking about Colonel Peterson anymore. He was not thinking about his career or his rank or the military code. He was thinking about 30 children who were about to wake up in the dark, alone and afraid. He was thinking about the fact that he was the only thing standing between them and death. He stood up, even though it meant the enemy could see him. He ran toward the sealed ward entrance. A bolt of energy came very close to him, burning the air near his shoulder. But he kept running, and he made it through the door. Behind him, the sealed ward entrance closed. The thick steel blocked out the sound of the explosions and the gunfire. For a moment, there was almost silence. Vexter was leaning against the wall, breathing hard. Blood was dripping on the floor. His eyes were still black and still focused. "You should not have come back," Vexter said. "You are hurt," Harper said. "Yes," Vexter said, "but I am alive. More importantly, we are here. And now we have work to do." In front of them, 3 rows of suspension pods were lined up in perfect order. In each pod was a young Kelthian, sleeping. Some of them were very small. All of them were still and quiet, waiting for someone to save them. Harper looked at Vexter. Vexter looked at Harper. "Can you do this?" Vexter asked. "Can you operate the manual revival sequence?" "Yes," Harper said. "I watched Dr. Montgomery do it 100 times. I can do it." "Then do it," Vexter said. "Wake them up. We do not have much time." Harper moved to the first pod. He placed his hands on the controls. He thought about what he was doing. He was defying his government. He was breaking his oath as a soldier. He was choosing the life of an alien child over the orders of his commanders. But he did not hesitate. He did not think too much about it. He just started the revival sequence. The pod began to glow. The liquid inside started to drain. The child inside began to move, waking up. One child, then another, then another. 30 children, waking up to a new world. Waking up because one human soldier had decided that saving lives was more important than following orders. The revival sequence took longer than Harper had hoped. Each pod took about 3 minutes to fully wake a child. With 30 children and the facility collapsing around them, they were running out of time. The walls shook constantly now. Dust fell from the ceiling in thick clouds. The sound of explosions was getting louder and closer. Vexter sat on the floor, trying to stop his bleeding. His wound was bad. The enemy fire had burned through his side, and he had lost a lot of blood. But he stayed focused. He was a warrior. Warriors did not die from pain. They died from giving up. "Faster," he said to Harper. "The structure is failing." Harper worked faster. He moved from pod to pod, entering the revival commands. The children woke up confused and scared. Many of them cried. Some of them tried to run, but they were too weak. They could barely stand. The suspension had kept them alive, but it had not made them strong. The sealed ward had 2 doors. One was the entrance they had come through. The other was the emergency exit that led deeper into the facility. Harper had no choice but to guide the children toward that exit, deeper into the collapsing building. "Come on," he said, speaking in simple words so that the alien children could understand him. "We have to move. We have to go now." A young Kelthian, maybe 6 years old, grabbed Harper's hand. The child did not speak. It just held his hand and looked up at him with black eyes. Harper felt something strange in his chest. It was not pain, but it was close to pain. It was something heavier than pain. Vexter stood up, struggling. He immediately fell back down. The wound had weakened his legs. "I cannot move," he said. His voice did not sound angry or afraid. It just sounded like he was telling the truth. Harper looked at his warrior companion. He looked at the children. He looked at the crumbling walls. "We are not leaving you," Harper said. "You have to," Vexter said. "The children cannot be left behind. I am too heavy to carry and too weak to run. Leaving me is the logical choice." Harper did not even think about it. He reached down and grabbed Vexter's arm. The Kelthian warrior was huge, maybe 300 pounds of muscle and bone. But Harper was strong from years of training. He pulled Vexter to his feet, and he put the alien warrior's arm around his shoulders. "We are not leaving you," Harper said again. "I did not defy my country's orders to save children just to abandon a friend in a burning building. We move together, or we do not move at all." Vexter looked at Harper for a moment. Then he nodded. "Come on," Harper said to the children. "Everyone follow me. Everyone stay together." The children moved, most of them on their own, some of them supported by Harper or Vexter. They went through the emergency exit and into the tunnels that led toward the lower levels. The tunnels were shaking. Water pipes had burst, and water was running down the walls. The air was getting hotter behind them. The sealed ward was destroyed. The ceiling collapsed where they had been standing just minutes before. If they had stayed any longer, they would have died. They moved through the facility's lower corridors. Harper knew these tunnels well. He had studied the facility's layout when he first arrived. The main evacuation tunnel that led to the underground garage and the transport vehicles was only a few hundred meters away, but the facility was fighting them. Doors had jammed. Corridors had collapsed. At one point, they had to climb over a pile of broken concrete and steel beams. The children were exhausted. Several of them were crying. One of them had fallen, and Harper had to carry the child as well as support Vexter. They heard voices ahead. Human voices. They heard gunfire too, and the sound of running feet. Harper's heart jumped. It could be a rescue team, or it could be enemy forces that had made it into the facility. The voices got clearer. Harper recognized them. It was Lieutenant Kyle Patterson and a squad of soldiers. "Captain," Patterson shouted when he saw them. "The facility is failing. We have to move now." "I know," Harper said. "Get these children to the transport vehicles. All of them. Go." Patterson did not question the order. He and his soldiers quickly organized the children, creating a human chain to help them move faster. The Kelthian young ones did not resist. They followed the humans because humans were helping them, but there was still Vexter. The warrior was barely conscious now from blood loss. Harper knew they would not make it if they had to move at the speed of the children. But they would not make it if they left Vexter behind either. Harper made a decision. "Patterson, take the children and get them out of the facility. Use the main evacuation tunnel. Go now." Patterson moved to follow the order, but then he stopped. He looked at Harper. "Sir, what about you?" "I am going to carry this warrior to medical," Harper said. "We will follow you as soon as we can." "The direct route to medical is blocked," Patterson said. "The corridors collapsed 5 minutes ago." Harper thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "Then we take the long route. We go through the service tunnels. It will take longer, but we will make it." Patterson wanted to argue, but Harper was already moving. The captain was supporting Vexter, and they were heading in a different direction than the children and the other soldiers. "Get those children to safety," Harper said. "That is an order." Patterson gathered the children and led them away. Harper and Vexter were alone again, moving through the collapsing facility. The service tunnels were narrow and dark. They had to move slowly because Vexter could barely walk. The alien warrior was losing consciousness. His eyes were closing. He was becoming heavier against Harper's shoulder. "Stay with me," Harper said. "Come on, Vexter. Stay with me. We are going to make it out of here." "You should let me fall," Vexter said, his voice weak and distant. "You could move faster without me." "No," Harper said. "I told you. We move together or we do not move at all. And we are moving." Another explosion hit the facility. This one was close. A wall nearby cracked. A piece of the ceiling fell behind them. Harper kept moving. He kept talking to Vexter, keeping him conscious. He told him about Earth. He told him about the stars he had seen. He told him about why he was willing to die for alien children and a Kelthian warrior. "Because," Harper said, breathing hard as he moved, "because it matters. Saving lives matters. Being human matters. Being more than just a soldier matters. The Kelthians think humans are weak. They think we cannot survive on hard worlds. But we can survive on anything. We can survive on anything because we choose to help each other. Because we choose to do what is right, even when it is hard." They reached the evacuation tunnel. They could see light ahead, the light of day and open air. Harper pulled Vexter forward. The alien warrior's feet were barely moving now. 50 meters. 40, 30. Behind them, the facility was failing. The entire structure was coming down. 20 meters. 10. They stumbled out into the light, and the smoke and the sound of war. Behind them, the facility's entrance collapsed, sending a cloud of dust and stone high into the air. Harper fell to his knees, exhausted. Vexter fell beside him, barely breathing, but they were alive. Both of them. And ahead, they could see the transport vehicles. They could see the children. They could see that they had made it. They had made it. The evacuation camp was chaos. Transport vehicles were moving, loading people and children. Soldiers were running. Doctors were working on wounded people in field hospitals made of torn blankets and metal poles. The sky was full of smoke and fire. Harper was on a medical table, watching Dr. Montgomery work on Vexter. The Kelthian warrior had lost so much blood that his gray skin looked almost white. But his heart was still beating. His lungs were still breathing. "He's going to make it," Dr. Montgomery said. She was tired. Her hands were shaking from exhaustion and stress. If he had lost another liter of blood, he would be dead. But he's going to make it. Harper felt something tight in his chest relax. He did not know when Vexter had become important to him, but somewhere in that burning facility, the alien warrior had stopped being just another soldier and had become something like a friend. "What about the children?" Harper asked. "All 73 children from the facility are here," Dr. Montgomery said. 30 from the sealed ward, 43 from the main medical section. 12 of them are critical condition, but alive. You saved them. All of them. Harper did not feel like a hero. He felt tired. He felt like a man who had disobeyed his orders and was waiting to face the consequences. As if on cue, a military transport vehicle pulled up to the medical tent. Colonel Peterson stepped out, followed by military police and armed soldiers. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. He looked at Harper like he was looking at a piece of trash that had blown across his boot. "Captain Lucas Harper," Peterson said. His voice was loud enough that everyone could hear. "You are under military arrest for disobeying direct orders, endangering military personnel, and providing aid and comfort to alien life forms." Harper stood up. He was tired and dirty and covered in blood and dust, but he stood straight. "Yes, sir," Harper said. "You will come with us," Peterson said. "You will be taken to military court for a formal hearing. You will face execution for your crimes." The soldiers moved toward Harper. But then something happened. The soldiers stopped. They did not step forward. They did not move at all. Behind them, more soldiers had gathered. Maybe 50 of them. Then 100. They were not moving to arrest Harper. They were standing in front of him, creating a wall between him and the military police. Peterson looked around in shock. "I saved these children," one soldier said. It was Sergeant Maria Cooper. She had been with Harper from the beginning. Every one of them would be dead if the captain had followed orders. "I am not going to watch him be arrested for saving lives. I will stand with the captain," another soldier said. It was Private James Mitchell. "So will I," said another. And another. And another. Soon, there were 200 soldiers standing between Colonel Peterson and Captain Harper. And behind the soldiers, there were doctors. There were volunteers. There were people from the refugee camp who had come to watch. Peterson's face turned red with anger. "This is mutiny," he shouted. "You are all breaking military law." "No, sir," Sergeant Cooper said. "We are just standing here. We are not attacking anyone. We are not refusing to follow orders. We are just standing here, and if you want to arrest Captain Harper, you are going to have to go through us." Peterson looked at the wall of soldiers. He looked at the doctors. He looked at the children who were watching from the medical tents. He looked at Dr. Montgomery, who was holding a bandaged Kelthian child in her arms, rocking it gently. For a moment, Peterson did not speak. Then he turned to the military police. "Stand down," he said. "We will deal with this later." The military police lowered their weapons. They got back into their vehicle. Peterson got in with them. The vehicle drove away. For a moment, there was silence in the camp. Then Vexter's voice came from the medical table. "Captain Harper," the Kelthian warrior said, his voice weak but clear. "Come here." Harper moved to the medical table. Vexter's black eyes were open, and they were looking at him. "I have been thinking," Vexter said. "In my culture, when someone saves your life, that person becomes your family. It does not matter what species they are. It does not matter what world they come from. When you save someone's life, you become connected to them forever. That is our law. That is our way. I understand, Harper said. Then hear this, Vexter said. You did not save just my life. You saved the lives of 30 young Kelthians. You made them into your responsibility. You made them into your family. And my people will know this. My people will understand what you did. Vexter's eyes closed again. He was drifting in and out of consciousness from the pain and blood loss. But Harper understood what the Kelthian warrior had said. The decision he had made in that command center, the decision to save the children instead of following orders, had changed everything. It had not just changed his own life. It had changed the Kelthian's life. It had changed the lives of 30 children. It had changed the lives of all the soldiers who had stood with him. One decision, one choice. That was all it took to change the world. Dr. Montgomery approached Harper. She looked at him with eyes that were full of respect and worry. The military is talking about keeping you alive for a court-martial, she said. But I do not know what is going to happen. The legal situation is very complicated. I know, Harper said. But whatever happens, at least the children are alive. At least Vexter is alive. At least I did the right thing. You did more than the right thing, Dr. Montgomery said. You did the human thing. You chose compassion over orders. You chose to see the children as alive and worthy of saving, even though they were alien. That is what humans are supposed to do. In the distance, there was more gunfire. The battle was still going on. The war was still happening. But here in the camp, there was a moment of peace. There was a moment where people of different species were working together to save children. There was a moment where the right choice had been made, no matter what the cost. And Captain Lucas Harper knew that whatever happened next, this moment would matter. This moment would be the beginning of something new. This moment would be the start of change. He looked at the children sitting in the medical tent, wrapped in blankets, drinking water, being cared for by humans. He looked at Vexter sleeping on the medical table, alive because Harper had not left him behind. He looked at the soldiers who had risked their careers to stand with him. And for the first time since he had given the order to evacuate the facility, Harper allowed himself to believe that he had done the right thing. That everything he had sacrificed, everything he might still have to sacrifice, was worth it. The breaking point was over. The choice had been made. Now came the consequences. And Harper was ready to face them, knowing that he had done what was right.